Well, I hope you enjoyed Rex's first video game demo after a long time. Yeah, seriously, after doing nothing but DOA fighting characters for from DOA 5, yeah, I had to make him stop. Uh, It was just a cheap way for him to make more episodes. I see what he was doing there, considering the fact that the gaming thing has been low for a while. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Problem is, I don't have that much. I don't have that many games on my PS4. So I downloaded some demos for him, and I also got a couple of extra games for my PlayStation 4. Uh, Namely from the PlayStation era. Lots of fun. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, last week I talked about movies based on true stories, so I figured, what the hell? Let's do a part two. Mainly because there's actually a lot more stories that I just found out that are actually even more crazy. But might as well talk about it. This is movies based on true stories, part two.
Shattered trust.
Ah, yes. The famous film about American hero Audie Murphy. Yes, To Hell and Back. This is a rather unique film, and I would love to review this movie, but right now I'm not going to. In fact, this movie is actually based heavily on a true story. That's right. The movie actually depicts the life and the struggles that Audie Murphy had to go through when he enlisted in the United States Army. After being rejected from the Marines, the Air Force, and the Navy, he went straight for the Army. And this is during World War II, like the early days of World War II, before America fully got involved with the war. They were actually shipping off soldiers to actually assist with the Allied forces before America fully was integrated into the war. So yeah, they were sending volunteers over. So, and yeah, the movie basically shows a lot of the stuff that Murphy actually had to go through, and of course he was rejected many times from all divisions except for the United States Army, which is kind of weird now that I think about it, because this feels more like a Captain America storyline. And you know what? It wouldn't be surprised to know if that maybe Captain America's current storyline was actually kind of would have been could have been based on Audie Murphy's struggles, which would make a lot more sense now that I think about it. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who loves. I'm a guy who loves gaming, movies, good music, loves doing art. So, what we got to talk about? So, what is there to talk about Murphy's life? He's a simple farm. He's basically a simple farmhand boy who actually quit school and actually wound up joining the army. Rose up in rank, got loads of respect, and also had a lot of access soldiers die by his hands and his guns mostly. So yeah, everything about the movie is, well, it's basically just a 2 hour film, but it basically shows all the shit he had to go through. And with Audie Murphy himself actually starring in the lead role, not even joking, here's a compilation DVD I have. And what's this on the cover? It's To Hell and Back. And here's a picture of Audie Murphy right there on the cover. Huh. Actually, now that I think about it, I should probably do Wake Island Battle Hymn and The Gray Lady Down. Well, I should probably do all these movies, but not today. Of course, this week was September 11th, and I probably should have done it before that, but fuck it. Wasn't really in the mood to do a film based on terrorism. Actually, I should probably stop doing reviews on movies based on terrorism anyway. But anyway, Audie Murphy basically actually had done many great feats. He was ridiculed for being short in stature, but he was respected amongst his peers as time went on. And of course the movie shows the most batshit crazy thing that was even almost impossible to film at the time, which of course is the scene That's actually the most iconic scene in the whole movie, and that's Audie Murphy getting on top of a burning tank, shooting machine guns at Axis soldiers, trying to defend his men from falling, trying to defend his men as they're falling back. That way, until help arrives. And yes, you heard me say that right. He's shooting a machine gun on top that's on a tank that's on fire and it can explode at any moment. And you want to know what's even more crazy? This movie was based on true events, and that event everybody thought it was just a good old fashioned Hollywood movie moment, oh, this is a good old fashioned Hollywood hero movie moment. It isn't. It actually happened. Yeah, the soldiers who saw the movie go like, "That's right. That's exactly how it happened, man. That's how it happened." Yeah, his men who actually did survive that, who actually saw him actually do that, yeah, that actually did happen. All right, Audie Murphy was actually eventually discharged, and he became an actor afterwards, though, because his story was so inspiring. So he went into the field of acting and actually became famous after that. But that act alone made him very famous amongst the armed forces. That he was literally a one man army. Yeah, before there was Rambo shooting machine guns, there was Audie Murphy. Yeah, old school American hero badassery at its finest. So yeah, To Hell and Back, based on a true story. That really happened, starring the actual soldier the movie was based on. Wrap your head around that, folks. Yes, yes, you saw that. Walking Tall. I already did the Dwayne Johnson review, Dwayne Johnson version of Walking Tall like years ago. Uh, as far as one of my seasons, I'm trying to catch up on because I had like maybe a few because my show was delayed for a few years. Yeah, here's the thing: Walking Tall, the original Walking Tall film that starred Joe Don Baker, which is a great movie by the way, you should really watch it. Is actually based on the true events and also based on the life of Buford Pusher. Yeah, and here's the thing: Buford Pusher in real life, before he became a lawman, he was actually a professional wrestler, and he had retired. So the reason why he got into law and actually started to fight crime eventually is because of what was happening in his neighborhood, which was happening in his area, which was a Dixie mob and local gangsters basically took over the entire area with a drug trade and with illegal gambling. And after his friends after certain of his friends actually got ripped off, he got assaulted and he actually left them for dead, but he survived. He tried his best to he literally tried his best to actually he literally tried his best to actually get rid of to actually fight the casino and fight the Dixie mob, but the law was actually on their side. So you know what he did? He ran for sheriff and he won. Yeah, he was trying to. And you know what else happened too? Here's the thing: in the Dwayne Johnson movie, the judge actually told the jury to ignore the wounds, on his chest. He had tons of cuts all over him. In reality, yeah, oh boy. Here's the thing: the jury just couldn't ignore those wounds. Because yeah, even though this is like one of the few times to see Joe Don Baker take his shirt off. Yeah, those wounds are pretty nasty, and he actually just showed them the pain he had to go through, and he survived all that pain. And you know what? The jury they just couldn't ignore those wounds, so they convicted him as not guilty. And you know what else he did? He became sheriff, and he went after, and the first person he went after was the judge. Yeah, he got the judge disbarred. That actually happened. Oh, yeah. And here's the thing: all the cops that were involved in the Dixie Mob, that were actually being paid off by the Dixie Mob, they all got arrested. Yeah, he actually fired all of them and put them in jail. He actually hired new recruits. His certain friends to actually help out, and they literally cleaned up the town. Yeah, seriously. Oh wow, it's crazy. I mean, the movie just showed a fraction of what had just happened. As insane as the original movie was, the insane part is all that actually happened. Yeah, he fought the Dixie Mob and he won. Now, unfortunately, he didn't actually survive an assassination attempt that was made on him. That happened several years later, so he actually did die. But the mark he left, the mark of justice he left behind, that could not be rubbed away. No, oh no, 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 no. He left his mark. So yeah, Buford was a professional wrestler turned sheriff to fight crime in his hometown, and he won. Even though in the end it cost him his life, though, but yeah. Sometimes actions speak louder than words, and what he did, he brought the hammer of justice. Damn. Oh, one of these days I should probably review the original film because, yeah, even though there were two sequels that were actually made and they were somewhat more fictional, but let's face it, that original film with Joe Don Baker, it's a must watch. And it's actually one of Joe Don Baker's best films, all joking aside. Okay? I know some of you guys are tempting me to review the movie Mitchell, but just watch the MST3K version of the film. That's all I can say. Next film. Yes, folks. Pain and Gain. Yes, this film, as bad as it was, is based on a true story that actually happened in the mid 90s. Oh, it gives me such a fucking migraine to know that actually happened. Oh, sweet Jesus. I mean, the audacity and the shit that happened throughout that entire movie. Oh, wow. My head's hurting right now just by thinking about all that. I mean, I have never reviewed the movie yet, though, and trust me, I will eventually do it. I mean, I actually saw it just a few weeks. I actually watched it just last week. As I was working out, because I figured I might as well watch like that dumbass bro. Might as well watch that dumbass bro film, bromance movie about bodybuilders trying to steal money from a billionaire. Yeah, that's the premise of the movie. We have three bodybuilders, two of which are ex-cons, and one's actually an up-and-coming bodybuilder. And these three guys are actually there's actually the one that's actually from jail, but the jail one, the ex from jail, he's actually trying to go on the straight and narrow, but he's also a former drug addict who gets back into drugs during this because of this whole thing. Yeah, all the shit that just happens, it's ridiculous. Uh, and to make matters worse, the movie stars Mark Wahlberg, and this is basically Mark Wahlberg just trying to do his Wahlberg facade. When he's trying to be hip. When he's trying to be like he's trying to be like hip and cool and all that. Yeah, he's trying to be his cool face. His so-called when he's trying to narrate the story, trying to do his cool face thing, like the type of face he was doing during the Italian Job remake. I hate that face. Seriously. Also, I want so much bad shit to happen to those characters in that movie. Well, the Italian Job remake, not this movie, because we knew there was going to be bad shit going to happen to them. Oh, but I will give Mark Wahlberg this much: he actually packed on 40 plus pounds of muscle for the part. In fact, he actually put on too much muscle for the part to make him look like an actual meathead. And you know what? You gotta give him credits. Seriously. He actually pulls off the actual character and the stupidity of the character he's playing too, because the real Danny Lobo in real life was actually like that. So seriously, his slogan was, "My name is Danny Logo, and I believe in physical fitness." He turned a dying gym into a hotspot in Miami, into one of the biggest bodybuilding hotspots in Miami, and his idea was to actually get two friends together to steal money from a billionaire who didn't rightfully deserve it, in his eyes. So they basically kidnap a guy, make him sign a waiver, sign all of his businesses away, and all of his money, legitimately assets, and signed everything away. No questions asked, by the way. And the gym owner was actually on their side and signed the notoriety. That way they got away with it. So, however, they screwed up and tried to kill the guy who was played by Tony Shalhoub, and he actually survived. He actually calls up a private detective who was retired, who's also a retired cop. Now, the detective doesn't believe that. Now, the PI doesn't actually fully believe him, though. But when he found out that this actually had happened to him, that this actually happened to the guy, and the cops actually didn't trust the guy, didn't believe him because of the fact he was actually because of the fact he was Colombian born, and because he was Colombian, they didn't trust him. Wow, racist much? Well, to be fair, the guy was a real life asshole, but supposedly after the events, he cleaned up his act. Supposedly, I'm not too sure of the details. I didn't look up the actual people who were really involved because I didn't really want to because this was straight up fucking ridiculous. Even like even supposedly Danny's stripper friend was actually involved in it too, but she was just a straight up idiot. Uh, but maybe that was probably because of the fact it's a Michael Bay movie and they just made her look like a ditzy. And the movie probably treated her like a ditzy idiot. Who the hell knows? But sweet God Almighty, this was just wow. I mean, yeah, they steal all the money. The guy actually gets the PI to actually go into gets the PI to go to work, and shocking thing actually winds up happening. Two of the guys, the ex convict who was a drug addict, and the up and coming bodybuilder, actually spent all the money away, and they're hungry for more money. So what they do? Well, the ex junkie actually figures, hey, let's go rob this porno guy, and so they decide to go rob the porno guy. And during an actual meeting, well, okay, Danny and the guy were actually in a separate room together, while the two others were actually just showing off their muscles to the guy's wife. Danny and the guy get into a really heated argument, and the guy gets accidentally killed when actually when the heavy weights actually land on his head, and so is the barbell land on his head, basically cracking his skull open. Which actually happened. Oh, it's you know what they did? They actually drugged the girlfriend, drugged the wife with horse tranquilizer, and they're like, "No, man, I gotta think of those weights. Yeah, I gotta think. And I'm thinking, man. Yeah, okay, I know what to do. That actually happened. Oh God! And the way they actually try to get rid of the fingerprints on these two, yeah, they chop the hands off and they give it to the ex junkie who's played by Dwayne Johnson. And what does he do? He grills them. He grills up the fingerprints, but he grills them outside. And there's even a little subtitle come. And this happens like what 20 lit. It's like 20 minutes left of the movie. And there's a subtitle that literally pops up at the corner right here that says, "Yes, this actually happened." Oh God. Oh wow, this was just bad. Like beyond bad. Now they actually did wind up chopping the bodies up and they put them in barrels. And you hear Danny Logan go, "Yeah, got a hell of a good work out of the whole thing too." So because of the fact that two other people wound up missing, the PI actually encouraged the police to actually go after them, and they arrest them. While Logo actually wants to go down to the Bahamas to get the rest of the money from the guy that he just originally stole from. And what happens? Well, as he's stealing the rest of the money and the personal belongings, the cops get there too. And you know what happens to him after he gets shot by the PI? The guy who he just robbed actually takes control of a vehicle and rams him into a building. Oh God! And the trial took several months. And since the guy was the ultimate victim, oh my God! Yeah, the police department supposedly actually got sued because they actually didn't do their job. And yeah, this was actually in the movie though, but supposedly that's what actually happened. So yeah, they actually got sued in real life. And Daniel, now okay, the uh, the ex junkie, on the other hand, though, he actually confessed to everything because he couldn't just take it anymore. As they were chopping the bodies up, he was going more mentally insane. So he ran the fuck out of there and actually wound up hiding in a church, asking God for forgiveness, and waiting for the police to show up at the same time. So he was already done at that point. And so you know what happened? So when the sentence came out, he was sentenced to 15 years, and he's currently out, and he accepted his fate. While Danny and Adrian, they both got sentenced to death. Yeah, and when the judge actually slammed the gavel down, this was their faces when they heard the sentencing. Adrian, Danny's face. You fucking asshole. Oh. As a matter of fact, when we actually get to see the actual photos, here's what it said about Danny. He was sentenced to death and also 30 days in solitary confinement for being an asshole to the guard. You know, amongst all the true story things, this is straight up ridiculous, knowing that this actually had happened. And what's even more fucked up is there are other movies that have really terrible characters who are based on real people and real stories that actually happened. I know I spent like, yeah, look at the counter right there. I spent almost 10 minutes talking about this. Oh my god. Pain and Gain. A bromance, a bromance black comedy that's also one of the worst films ever made, based on a true story. Enough said. Calm down. Please calm down. Calm down. Okay? All right. Last week, I actually said, actually talking about two horror film franchises that were actually based on real life, that were actually based on true stories, like Nightmare on Elm Street and The Blob, for example. Now those were explained away. But now I just literally talked about two other horror franchises: seriously, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho. All right, they're based on. So I know what you're thinking. Those movies are actually based on a true story. First off, calm yourselves down. Let me explain. Here's the thing. All right, the actual characters of it's actually not the movies themselves, but actually the killer, the main killer, is actually based on a true story. For example, in Psycho, Norman Bates. We have Norman Bates with Psycho, who's played brilliantly by Anthony Perkins, who is a great guy in real life, and he is like the ultimate awesome person to be around too, as what many people have said about him. And then there's Leatherface, the chainsaw wielding psychopath, who's also a cannibal. So here's the thing: both of these characters are based on the same person. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, yeah. So, what does Norman Bates and Leatherface have in common? They're both based on the same person. Who is that person? Well, let me tell you who it is. So, and I'll give you a hint. Jason Voorhees actor Kane Hodder actually played this character in a movie one time, based on true events. Who was the character? Who was the killer? His name is Ed Gein. Yes. Okay, let me explain how these movies were both connected. Supposedly Leatherface actually has like a weird transition, like where he wants to where he cross dresses as a woman from time to time. And Norman Bates actually did the exact same thing, but he cross dresses as his mother because he has a fixation, and he wants to be the good mother's boy. And he psychologically became mentally unstable as time went on, where he actually became his mother after he killed his mother and her boyfriend. All right. Now, supposedly Ed Gein actually had the same problem where his mother was very sick. The difference is his mother was sick and he was fascinated by her, and he actually mostly killed women. He mostly killed women that resembled his mother, which is really screwed up when you think about it, though. But here's the thing: like the cannibalism portion. So the whole thing dressing him as a woman and stuff was supposedly based on Ed Gein's fixation on his mother, and also the fact that cross dressing again may have been heavily based on Ed Gein was fixation on his mother. Like with Norman's fixation on his mother was heavily based on Ed Gein. Now the cannibal aspect. Well, here's when it gets really fucked up. All right, and yes, this actually did happen. All right, it's going to be kind of sick. And here it is. Ed Gein was known for making some of the best venison in the county, and he even getting some. And he always made some of the best freshly cut venison meats you could ever even imagine. However, when he was arrested, he actually admitted, "It's like, sir, officer, Your Honor, I never harmed a deer in my life." Yeah, it's starting to sink in, right? He made everybody cannibals. Yeah, so it wasn't actually deer meat; it was human meat he was cutting up. And here's where it gets really more fucked up. You know all that real fucked up scenery we saw, like with all the flesh stuff and all the flesh masks that Leatherface made, and all the shit that the family that the Sawyer family actually made as the films went on, with all those human remains stuff with furniture and shit. That portion is based on what Ed Gein did to human body parts. He even made an actual. He even made a actual replica of his mother using dead remains, which of course is what also based it on Psycho, which is also the basis for Psycho. This is really fucked up. So yeah, Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre were based on the actions of this one fucking psycho, Ed Gein, who turned a whole, who basically made human furniture, human skin dresses, and turned a whole county of innocent people into cannibals. What the fuck? And I'm just gonna wrap it up right here. Will there be a third video? Will there be a fourth video? You know what? Yeah, there's gonna be a third and fourth video sooner or later, but oh sweet Jesus. I'm sorry, but the last two films, but the last two things I was just talking about, like Pain and Gain, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like fucking Psycho, being based on real events. Oh my god, yeah, it's fucking crazy. But like I said, there's even more. But like I said earlier, there are tons more. There are actually a lot more movies out there that are based on true events and true stories, which is all kind of crazy. Oh, it's nuts. I mean, the last thing I just did was actually that we have a complete psychopath who was actually the basis for two movie franchise psychos. Real life is just that fucked up. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's review, or in this case, today's facts about movies that are based on true stories. Now, will I do a third review? Will I do a third video on this whole thing? Maybe, or most likely I'll probably do another movie. And you know what? There's a movie on Netflix I do want to review that has a lot of love, and people want there to be want there to have a sequel. Well, tune in next time. Until then, this is Ferox Frank signing out. Y'all take care now.
Empty promises.